This video is to demonstrate how to use Photoshop to extract a line drawing from a white background and make the background transparent. So just before we start in Photoshop, I'm going to bring up Adobe Bridge. This is my preferred file browser for browsing my image assets. You can see here I've got lots of folders. Each of these contain many images, and the one that I'm on here contains 3 images that I want to show you how I tend to work on these. So I want to select this image, tweezers, and if I double click on Bridge, it will automatically open in Photoshop, which is quite a cool feature. So we can see here is our image. It's black and white, but the mode is RGB color, and what I like to do is just to convert black and white images to grayscale. It's particularly useful if you've got printed matter where the pages may have yellowed a little bit. So just discard color information, and here we have it with no color information at all. Okay, so the next thing that I need to do is to unlock the layer. So this is the background layer and it's locked. You can see with the lock here. So if I double click, it brings up this dialog. I can rename the layer if I want, but really the important thing here is to make sure that the color here is none, it's transparent. Click OK. Now, as a safety measure, I like to bring in another background, but I want to have a transparent background. So to do this, go up to layer, new layer. I could use a shortcut code, and I tend to do these for most things. So new layer, again, give it a name, make sure it's none for transparent, okay. And we can see here, if I now drag that down, put it in the background, if I uncheck the eye there, we can see that's transparent behind there. Okay. Select the layer. Now, what I'd like to do is just to kind of get rid of some of these little grisly bits, and there's a bit of texture in the paper. So the easiest way to do this is to use our levels to create more contrast. So I'm going to use the shortcut command, which is Command L, and here are our levels. And if I bring these up from the right hand side, this is our white point, and you can see it's making the image brighter. I'm just going to pull that up a little bit there and put in the black to make the black darker. You have to find a bit of a balance there, and maybe put in the greys a little bit down, something like that. I'm happy with that. As long as you can still see the mark that you want to extract, and that's fine. Now, I need to select all, which is Command A, and now I'm going to cut the image. Command X. I will now paste the image back in, but before I do so, I need to use the quick mask mode here, which, when this is in operation, our active layer is highlighted in red. And if I paste, which is Command V, we can see that you've got the quick mask there, but also we've got the selection for all. So now if I uncheck, sorry, my mouse is doing some weird things. If I uncheck the quick mask tool, we can see here that our selection, because it's got the bounding selection of all, our selection is going to be this negative space here. We want now to invert this. So I'll go to select and can reverse this. Now you can see the lines here are indicating, because there's no selection around the outside, that these will be filled. So I've selected just black and white here for my color options, and I want to work with black at this point. You can change it to any color you want simply by clicking on the tool and scrolling around the picker and scrolling up. I'm sure you know this. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is to fill. I'm going to go to edit and fill, or shift F5. So if I press fill once, it will give me the option of the foreground colour, which is black, which I want. I can check that and go to background colour, etc. Mode normal, opacity 100%. At this point, this is ideal. Okay. So if I press Command D to deselect, you can see that it's filled in, but it's slightly faint. Okay, so this is because it's such a fine line, and that we probably need to do this a few times. So just going to bring it back here. So to reselect, it's Command Shift E. So this is now reselected, and I can Shift F5 to fill again. Okay, so we can see it's a bit more like it. Command D, and we can see that that's not too bad. If I wanted to, I could fill one more time just to make sure. So Command Shift D brings back the selection, and Shift F5 brings up the fill option, and I've just filled another time. Okay. D. If you need now to go back a step, and if we've done one too many fills, you can go back to your history and go back to the previous fill if I want. There. So you've got some options to kind of review what you've done. So I'm quite happy with that. Okay. Yeah. So Command 0 will take us to fit to view, and that is essentially that. So what I'm now going to do is save this. So you might have noticed before that it was a PNG file. So now, because it's a transparent layer, I can either save as a PNG, or I prefer, I'm gonna save this as a PSD. So one thing to bear in mind, PSD Photoshop documents do use a little more space than most file formats, but you have the layers built into this. Okay, so I'm now going to save this, and because it's PSD, I don't have to rename it at this point. There we go. And I'm just going to close this image. Okay, so that was that. Now I'm going to show you how to extract an illustration from a white background. Thanks.